I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know how to intro this video, but hi, I fucking love Dreamcatcher.
Cause I'm good, I'm feeling alright. Baby, I'ma have the best fucking night of my life. And wherever it takes me, I'm down for the ride. Baby, don't you know I'm good? Yeah, I'm feeling alright.
So the thing is, I've been a fan of Dreamcatcher for a few years now and figured respect needed to be paid. Like genuinely, Dreamcatcher deserves their fucking flowers. The amount of resolve, commitment, and genuine talent this group radiates is insane, so please join me in watching Dreamcatcher bloom into who they are today. Phew! Here we are in 2017. I wasn't into K-pop back then, so let's take a look at what's going on in the industry together. We got Twice with Likey.
설렌다, me like it, me like it, like it, like it. Me like it, like it, like it. 두근두근두근.
That was cute, I really enjoyed the rap part. Red Velvet with Red Flavor.
빨간맛 궁금해하네. 깨물면 점점 녹아든 strawberry 그 맛. 코라 캔디 샵 찾아봐 baby. 내가 제일 좋아하는 건 여름 그 맛.
What a weird but catchy song. Oh, and a new girl group just hit the scene. Dreamcatcher. Are they like gonna give me sweet dreams?
Chase me 그래 날 찾아봐 아무도 멈출 수 없어 날 더 잡을 수 없게 다른 꿈에 울릴 수 없을 거야
Yeah, wasn't exactly right about the dream part. A bit of housekeeping here. Dreamcatcher debuted under Dreamcatcher Company, formerly known as Happy Face Entertainment, on Friday 13th with a rock horror concept. They have 7 members: Jiu, Suwa, Shion, Handong, Yuhyun, Dami, and Gahyun. And as most of you probably already know, some of Dreamcatcher had previously debuted in a different group with a very different concept than what Dreamcatcher thankfully ended up doing. I won't be discussing Ming's in length or at all really for the rest of this video, but feel free to look that up for yourself if you're curious.
Rock and roll baby come on
My point just being that while shifting the concept of a group debuting so radically was a very ballsy and risky move, it was one that ended up paying off tremendously because while the rest of the industry were all doing very bubbly, pink, happy songs, when Dreamcatcher's spooky ass rolled up in black robes dancing to rock music, they were gonna stand out.
It's Britney, bitch.
And stand out they did. Dreamcatcher Company was not playing around when it came to this debut. The attention to detail in both the music video and their performances is actually crazy. Like, what do you mean the way they tied the strings to their robe is also tied back into the concept? Especially when considering how much time they managed to pull this all off. Just 2 months after Ming bit the bullet, Dreamcatcher was born. Chase Me also sparked the beginning of their first lore arc, the Nightmare series, which would continue on for the next 5 comebacks until Piri. Each of the members also symbolizes a different nightmare, but more on that when we unravel what's actually going on in the other music videos. All we know for now is that Mr. Axeman is being haunted, and probably for a good reason. Released just months after the debut of the century, Dreamcatcher came back with Good Night. Let's see what this one's about. We start right where we left off, and Mr. Ghost Hunter tries to curse the girls with his big scary spellbook but fails miserably because he's simply too much of a flop. Dami steals his little book and the girls pull an Uno reverse on him without breaking a sweat. They then go into the woods dressed in these creepy little robes and leave us all wondering where we can sign up to join this cult. Oh, and Dami also dropped the spellbook. Oops. The guitars in this song really popped off. Amazing song sonically, and Goodnight also features the debut of rapper Suwa.
난 변함없이 꿈을 지휘하겠지 손 하나 까딱 없이도 충분히 넌 땀에 흠뻑 젖어 깨지 못할 텐데
Cherish it while you can though, because we won't be seeing her rap again for a while. And don't think I forgot about how insane the intro choreo of the song is, because starting the track off with this is absolutely wild and exactly why I love them. Holy shit, this opening shot is stunning. This is one of my favorite music videos of all time. Like, why do all the shots look so good? The cinematography in this one was just gorgeous. Like, look at this. Literally every frame of this 3-minute video could be a wallpaper. This song technically is a prequel to Chase Me, so keep that in mind as you're watching. This music video is also somehow a lot creepier than any previous release, which I think is pretty funny because this is also the most pop rocky one. Watching the video though just gives you this unsettling feeling. Like there's definitely something else going on, you just don't know what. Very sinister undertones considered with the beautifully creepy French castle they're at. PSA, just don't trap and torture a spider, y'all. Also, Sua stabs a picture we saw in the opening shot of Chase Me. I'm sure that will be important later. This era also gave us so many good looks. We got Gio with the iconic red hair,
지우 언니 남자친구 있으세요? 나 여자친구도 있고 남자친구도 있고 나 어떡하지? 아닌데요? 아니 바람 중인데?
the Sailor Moon ass styling they somehow managed to make look good. And this was also the first mini album and it had such bangers on it. And then they released Full Moon, and with it the fandom name, Insomnia, meaning in dream.
Or you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
This is their first fan song and technically has nothing to do with the Nightmare series, but I'm gonna include it anyways because why not? I'm gonna be honest, this is the one Dreamcatcher song I can never recognize for some reason. I'm always listening to the first 10 seconds of this, like who is this? And then I know it's Full Moon because I can never recognize it. It's a very sweet song when you look at the lyrics though, especially the ending in which they sing softer. It's just such a pretty and heartwarming song. And if you own a Mongmongi, the English lyrics of Full Moon are printed on the stick part of the light stick, which I think is very cute. You and I, what a banger, honestly. Definitely my favorite from the Nightmare series for no particular reason, of course. Alright, what does that picture even mean? The rituals again? Yeah, we are back on this bullshit lore. No more time jumping, this is the direct sequel to Goodnight. The opening shot and the cinematography were yet again just so chef's kiss. They really said budget with this one. The visual storytelling was on point, the spider POV shots, all the tilted Dutch angles, they definitely had a clear vision going into this and they wanted you to see it. What we saw though was karma for Yuhyun burning that poor spider back in Fly High because she was bored apparently. The little spider took that personally and came back to take revenge on her by trapping her alone in some other dimension. It then tried to possess some of the other girls while it was at it but failed. The girls tried to save Yuhyun by performing another ritual to open a portal, but Yuhyun unfortunately doesn't manage to reach it in time. Now, how is she gonna get out of this one? I also just need to take a moment for how absolutely stunning they looked during this era. Ji with that bob, Yuhyun's grey hair, Dangi's pink/blonde slay, and the song was very popular for a pretty good reason. They slayed, and I feel like with this, Dreamcatcher had really grown into their identity as a group and were a lot more confident overall. Also, that special clip released during this era where they performed Mayday with the fan band was very sweet. I'll never forget the guy shaking after Suha touched him. Me too, bro. Me too.
널 찾는 내 목소리 혹시 들린다면 너 있으면 꼭 대답해줘 다가와서 나를 구해줘 갈수록 깊어지는 날 흔드는 어둠 속에서 널 향해 Mayday Mayday 닿을 수 있게 하늘을 날 수 있을 것만 같아 온종일 눈부시게 하늘을 수놓는다 눈 뜨면 사라질 것 같은 풍경 어깨에 사뿐히 내려앉은 작은 새와 입 맞춰 도란도란 얘기하는 여긴 어느냐 이젠 그만하고 싶어 이 시간도 괴로워 멀리 찾을 수 없는 깊은 곳으로 시간이 흘러 기억 저편으로 찾으러가 또 다른 나를 본다면 Yeah 지쳐가 아름답던 기억을 다 던져 Yeah 미쳐가 감춰왔던 내 모든 걸 벗어
Next up in the Nightmare series, we got Piri and what? What? Yeah, what? What? Claps all around for the intro coming through again. I love Dominoes and choreo and this was just that, back to back. And listen, I don't know jack shit about film, but this fucking shot is one of, if not my favorite shot of the entire Nightmare era. The CGI isn't the best, but the way they shot that angle so they could flip it without losing focus on Yuhyun during the shot, I can't really explain it, but just look, it's so well done and so cool and I love it. I feel like they were experimenting quite a bit this comeback both with the music video and the styling, which I know a lot of people dislike the styling this era, but I generally think they kinda slayed to be honest.
It's camp, it's fun, I love it. So
What an era, and I know she hated it, but Orange Dongi
Daddy the grandmaster, Daddy I want it faster, them bitches
was something else entirely. Oh yeah, lore. This whole video is Sister Girls being like, Yuhyun, go, where are you? We miss you. We're gonna come get you, promise. And then the final shot zooms all the way out and they're inside the snow globe. Happy holidays, y'all.
I just want you 혼자였던 시간들 여기까지만 please come yeah Hush, 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 hush 한 번이라도 내 손 잡았더라면 달라졌을 지금도 날 조여오는 dream I feel so far away 우리
Quick honorary mention for Over the Sky, another very sweet song for some to cry to. I love the color grading in the video, and I think it's very cute that they incorporated sang language into the choreo, which they will be doing again in the future. Alright, let's get back to it and finish off the Nightmare series. Alright, let's see, we're in a big white empty room. There's something on the ground. Are we maybe inside? What the fuck was that? I still get jump scared every time Piri comes on. It's not even funny anymore. We're so back into the creepy shit. Very cool set. Some horror references in there too. They definitely tore up this book for this one, and I'm so here for it. The styling this era was not gonna lie, I went to the Dreamcatcher wiki to try and gather how this wraps up the entire storyline, because I'm gonna be honest, at this point I was getting very lost, and after reading a very long and convoluted text, I have come to the conclusion that with the power of friendship, anything is possible. Nah, just kidding, they couldn't escape the horrible nightmare, and in this ending, the girls eternally stay trapped as their tormented nightmare selves. But there is hope, because there is one last song left in the storyline that is the true ending to the series, so I'll explain it there. About the song itself though, what a banger. I replayed the shit out of this when I first heard it. Top tier Dreamcatcher song in my opinion, and the Shion bridge is gonna eat every time, but this one specifically, damn. Also, we got our fucking rapper guy on debut. The rest of the album was equally as good, if not better than Piri. This is definitely my favorite mini from this stretch of albums. I love it so much. Truly a no-skip album. Alright, let's go wrap up this era for real this time. Alright, they did not have to go this hard for their first Japanese release. I love the way that chorus comes in, Dambi's rap, that fun little instrumental the song starts off with. I really like the styling too, and they did a great job of tying this back into their storyline considering this was just added afterwards. The choreo ate, especially in the chorus, that slow-mo shot of choreo dude at the end was amazing, and the little hand thingy Yuyun does before her part is just so visually pleasing to look at. The rest of this album was mostly Japanese version of the Korean title tracks, but we did get My Way and I Miss You, which were both great songs respectively. I Miss You especially, I love that song, it's my favorite Japanese B-side of theirs.
あなたが好きよ My love, my love, my love 誓うは忘れないと胸の声聞いて I miss you ただ信じてるまた出会えること I miss you 空の果てまでも探すから
So, I kinda lied earlier when I said they couldn't escape the power of friendship because they do just that in Breaking Out. In Piri, we always saw the girls separately try to figure a way out, and in the end, they just kinda give up. They resign to being trapped together in the nightmare forever, but in Breaking Out, they work together to face their fears and break out of the nightmare. And it ends the same way Piri does. The girls dressed in white, holding hands, but free this time. A happy ending. I loved all the visual storytelling during this entire nightmare arc. So many cool shots and imagery and symbolism. Claps all around for the creative team. One of my favorite lores in K-pop, this was just great. I mean, did I get the answers to all the questions I had? No. Do I feel like I have to? No, I liked mystery. I like the fact that all of this is just fan theories. I love that Dreamcatcher drops mystery codes before every comeback and is just so committed to the concept with everything they do. I like not having everything explained to me because music is very subjective, and allowing fans or listeners in general to just see what they want to see is great and a lot of fun. And after so many releases this year and finishing off a whole series, the girls get a well-deserved break. It's been a very busy 2 years for them, and it's only about to get busier.
빗줄이는 너의 두 눈동자여 지난 모든 기억들을 지워줘
I struggled quite a bit with what to even say for this one, because I feel like words can describe how insanely good this song is. Hearing even just this opening for the first time is like getting hit with a brick wall of emotions and this guttural feeling of sadness and loneliness. Their heavenly vocals over this slow, melancholy instrumental is just... And then...
Oh, deja vu. Oh, deja vu. Oh, deja vu. So I'm falling now.
That fucking chorus hits, and good god, crying while headbanging is right. It almost pisses me off how insanely good this song is. I need this playing everywhere, like wow, what a work of art. And if you don't know who Dreamcatcher is, but you somehow kept on watching up until this point, and you hear that, and you still don't immediately want to go throw all of your money at them, I don't know what's wrong with you. But also like, go stand. Gorgeous, gorgeous visuals and storytelling yet again. Like the CGI in this was probably very expensive, so shout out to the Kingsgrid Game Collab for funding this one. The storyline in Deja Vu was pretty straightforward, thank god, because I don't know if I have another atrocious lore explanation in me.
Honey, you've got a big storm coming.
The music video is showing the viewer two different perspectives without telling you. The reality of Jiu and the paranoia of Yuhyun. Jiu is a gracious queen, friend to all, but Yuhyun feels jealous and is kinda scared that Jiu will betray her. So, she betrays her first. When Jiu then forgives Yuhyun, she repays the favor by killing her and then proceeds to exile or kill everyone else we're not quite sure. In the end, she has what she wanted. She has a throne, but is left all alone ruling over an empty land, missing her former friends who she had to eliminate. The shots of Yuhyun lying in the casket with Jiu standing over her never happened. It's all Yuhyun's paranoia talking. It's all just in her head. I also just want to point out that I've noticed there's a trend with Yuhyun always being the villain in their storylines up until now. Not pointing fingers, just saying. I feel like I also have to kind of address the elephant in the room here with Deja Vu, the robbed first win. Mera does a much better job than me than explaining the whole thing in detail if you're interested, but basically the music show, fucked up the calculation for the score that would have given Dreamcatcher their first win. They tucked away a few points from their total score, and they also give them negative points in a score category where you can't get negative points, meaning they deliberately fuck with their score so they wouldn't win, thus unfairly robbing them of their first win and all the opportunities that come with it. I was also very unaware, but getting your first win in K-pop is a very big deal for the artist, and directly impacts their growth in the industry, because as talented as Dreamcatcher was at this point, at barely 2 years in the game, they were still considered rookies. And then, instead of just owning up to it and saying they did little oopsies, which would have been a lie because this was so obviously rigging, they then had the balls to make a shaded tweet mocking the group and Somnies. Kayon hasn't smiled in any of their music show pics since, and good for her. It got a little upsetting there, not gonna lie, so I'll end this part presenting you with my favorite memes from this era.
Oh now, holding this pain. 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 Oh now, holding this pain.
진짜 싫었어.
Me, I like it rough and harder than a diamond. Kicking at the blunt while he's breaking in the hymen. I can make him do what I say like Simon. So soft that he's built like a lineman.
심장이 입 밖으로 튀어나올 것 같거든요.
나의 약속을 기억해 영원히. Yeah. Let's get move out. Yeah. Focus me, look at me every time. 떨리는 이 심장을 붙잡아봐도 어쩔 수가 없어. Focus me, look at me every time. 기댈 수 있는 것만 하나밖에 없다는 걸. 지금 같은 어둠이 나를 이렇게 덮어봐. 슬픈 서로를 닮아 같은 추억을 안고 살아. 그게 너라서 행복해. 나는 이만 세계 수많은 사람 중에.
Deja Vu is the best thing to come out of the K-pop industry, and I'll be dying on this hill. The amount of times I've seen the music videos in Dystopia arc, I don't even want to talk about it. This is, I think, Dreamcatcher's most famous era. I feel like every time you mention Dreamcatcher anywhere, people are always gonna talk about Scream or Boca. And Dreamcatcher has been powerful from the get-go, but something was in the air with these releases because goddamn, they look like they were ready to crush you at any second. Sadly, without Handong though, because she's stuck in China due to a certain global virus, they had a mass dancer hold her place during their eras, so we're gonna have to miss her for a while, but she's gonna come back slaying harder than ever. This is also the arc where Dreamcatcher started incorporating messaging within their songs, and for this arc it's anti-bullying. And riding the high of Deja Vu, Dreamcatcher was ready to take over the industry as witches in part 1 of the Dystopia trilogy, with Scream.
Please settle 1, 2, scream. Double eyes come near the door.
Within the first few seconds, we see a tree, the tree of language. It's surrounded by beautiful scenery and it's almost utopia-like. Then, one day, the light didn't come. People forgot how to say good things, and with it, everything turns dark. The once bright and vibrant environment is now engulfed in a cloud of purple darkness, and within just a few seconds, they managed to perfectly encapsulate the overall story and premise of this arc. In the music video itself though, they use the imagery of a medieval witch hunt. The lyrics talk about being targeted for no reason, about getting stones thrown at them and burning under a fire. The choreo of the girl singling out and surrounding Diane by pointing at her is used to symbolize the modern day online witch hunt, where faceless, anonymous people post malicious comments and spread rumors just to hurt people and watch the world burn. And I don't have to be the one to tell you how much damage both mentally and literally malicious comments and rumors can cause. There's also a mask that keeps showing up in this music video. It's in the first few opening shots. Guyon even uses one during her rap part in the performance, store that away for later. Then we cut to one of my favorite chorus choreos. This is how you shoot dance party music videos. This was crazy. To do the song justice, they added dancers to their team to create a performance unlike any other. Shout out to Guyon's part in the end where they all circle around her like a cult because that shit looks so cool. And after that powerful performance, we go through a few trippy visuals and transition from defense to offense. Dreamcatcher has had enough and won't take any shit anymore. And in the end, they aren't the ones screaming anymore. You are. Then walk away from the tree which has stopped emanating mist. To be continued. Wow, Scream really is that bitch. All around, top tier, that fantasy ass MV, the crazy performance, their insane vocals, that bridge. Yep, reselling this era was... I want to personally thank the stylist for putting them in these suits and officially debuting Suitcatcher. Scream was the first thing I ever saw of Dreamcatcher, so you can imagine what that was like when the only K-pop I had heard at this point was Blackpink and Oh My God by Idol. Needless to say, I had no idea what just hit me and I was immediately obsessed. They're just so fucking cool.
오래된 연인처럼 I feel I love you. Do I love you? Do I like you? Do I know you? Oh, I think I love you. Oh, I love you. Oh, I like you. Maybe you feel it too. 길고 길었던 시간들 이젠 goodbye 빛나는 시작을 기다려 In the frozen 꿈속으로
Another jump scare in the DCU, this one doesn't get me as bad as Spirit though. Dreamcatcher gives the Japanese market another shot with this absolute banger. The Japanese releases always eat, I really wish they promoted them more. This whole song is basically a keep your head up, don't give up kind of track, and I keep repeating myself, but we have yet another beautiful bridge.
赤い太陽夜明けの空美しく舞い上がれ One life
A very slay guitar solo moment. And I love how they end on a little bounce. And as far as I'm aware, they've never performed this song anywhere unfortunately, but considering this was a comeback in between comebacks and you released during COVID and it's a Japanese track, I can kinda see why. Yes, I am counting this as an official Dreamcatcher release. What about it? If you haven't seen this and you don't know what I'm talking about, please do yourself a favor, pause this and go watch that full thing right now. I'll have it linked. Please go watch this 2-part masterpiece in full, because when I tell you this is cinematically one of the best things they've put out, and I'm not even joking. I first clicked on this thinking it was a normal Dreamcatcher note, and when I tell you I could honestly not believe my eyes when I saw what the fuck this was, and I still kinda don't. Like, I know we're all very bored because we had to stay indoors, but like, what the fuck possessed them to do this? They're so unserious. I was already crying like 10 seconds into this because of that fucking background music. The self-made acapella soundtrack was killing me the entire time. Sonically amazing, Soo and Shion definitely deserve Composer of the Year award for creating that. Jokes aside, this was pretty well made. The tension, the drama, the pacing, like a lot of effort went into this. They recreated the original drama pretty much bar for bar with a little indie flair. And the acting was unironically kind of amazing actually, especially compared to the original drama they're parodying. Like, no offense, but they ate those actors up. Shion was playing like 5 different characters by the end, Soo was actually their acting bag. Kayon enjoyed playing crazy a little too much, and Yuyeon was not keeping it together for any of her scenes. Tommy's rap at the end.
복잡하고 골치 아픈 거 이제 싫어 엄마만 없으면 간단해질 것 같아 아빠를 위해서도 그게 좋겠어 엄마 이제 가고 싶은 대로 가난 괜찮으니까 yo.
And this whole thing was just fucking hilarious. They all played their respective roles so well, and the scene where Shion slapped herself was peak cinematography. I love them so much. I'm gonna need DCC to push them into the acting world more though, and I legit think they should have won some sort of indie short film award for this. Alright, enough fucking around, let's get back to actual musical releases now, and it's something a little more peaceful this time around. Or not. Rose Blue is the OST for a mobile game called, let me check, Girl Cafe Gun? We're in some sort of dystopian setting, and the once peaceful world is now dark. We get a hero shadow Jiyu and then a close-up of a gun. We got 5 bullets, and with a determined look in her eyes, Jiyu enters a ginormous building before her. We get shots of all the girls individually sitting in various destroyed or distorted environments. Gio finds all the girls hooked up to a crystal in a trance-like dream state, and we then realize they're all stuck in individual nightmares. And once Gio realizes this too, she enters the crystal to try and save the girls. She ends up in Guyon's dream state, and as she's reaching out to Gio with the most pitiful look in her eyes, Gio raises the gun and... black. She opens her eyes, and when she sees she's reunited with the girls, she lets out the most devastating smile ever. And as she goes to touch Guyon, who's again reaching out to her, she fades away, like butterflies in the wind. Literally. And as she falls to her knees, she notices the gun next to her. She contemplates her fate for a bit, and makes a decision. A world without the girls is not one worth living in. She raises the gun to her temple, and with tears in her eyes and a flinch, she pulls the trigger. But nothing. She's out of bullets. In reality, the girls now wake up and see Gio trapped inside the crystal and realize the sacrifice she made to save them, costing her her own reality.
Who cried? Who cried? Me. I cried.
I just have one question. Whose idea was it to make this plot so sad? What the fuck? I cried the first time I saw this. The acting was genuinely so good. Guyon and Gio, especially in the scene where Gio first raises the gun. Suwa too, her scream when trying to break out at chains looks so real. I'm telling you, I need Dreamcatcher in a drama ASAP. I also love the color grading in the music video. They captured a dreamlike haze so perfectly, and I just have to say, Gio had no business looking that fine in that suit with the gun, like. Anyways.
Daddy the grandmaster, daddy I want it faster, them bitches you're fucking with, I know.
Iconic. Talk about a fucking hit. This is the Dreamcatcher song. Anytime I tell any non-somnies about Dreamcatcher, I get called a Boca enjoyer or something similar. I feel like every K-pop stan has at least heard of Boca before. It was so popular in fact that it's still their most viewed music video till this day. Speaking of the music video, we start off quite literally where we last ended, and after a quick recap we get introduced to Part 2, Dystopia, Lose Myself. Now, what do you mean by that, Dreamcatcher? We hear thunder, and in a flash opening we see Xion running. From what or who? We'll soon find out. And then... Post replay section? Yep, that checks out. What the fuck, Dami? This was so out of pocket, I don't even want to talk about it. Dreamcatcher ended Scream having had enough, and is now fighting against the hatred by becoming the killer who protects you, and saving both the targets of hate by setting them free, and the haters by changing their minds and asking them why they're choosing to fill their time with hate. And also telling them to shut the fuck up before they make them, which...
Daddy the grandmaster.
You also might have noticed there's a lot of water in this music video specifically, and that's because the rain served as a metaphor for the tears of those who are the victims of hate, while the water in the pond served as a sort of metaphor for a calm, serene state. It was also just raining while they were shooting the outdoor scenes, but I like the poetic explanation better. They end in a pose covering their mouths because, as Gio put it, why waste your time with hate? Back to Boca though, what a song! You'd never think it, but mixing reggaeton with rock was a great idea and exactly why I love Dreamcatcher, because who else would think to do some shit like this? Everyone's favorite rap duo is back too in what might be my favorite Gami rap section ever.
Yeah, 눈 감아서 막혀 널, 또 맞춰만 밟지 널, 뒷걸음만 쳤다면 더 이상 변하지 않아 뻔하지 너, 계속해, set you free, 너 이제 그만둬 숨 바꿔줘, 뺏어가려 뭘더 coming up, lock the door.
They slayed, and of course all the vocals were amazing too, per usual. Xion and Suwa were yet again in their vocal bag, whipping out all those belts like it's nothing. And live while dancing too.
Too many angels standing there, I'm gonna change your mind. 다시 숨 쉴 수 있게, no. Where is the love? Cause 같은 그
Such a stunning video. The coloring, the neon lighting, the gorgeously lit up dark alleyway they were in, the contrast between the beautiful light, almost utopic scenes and the darker, grittier shots were just gorgeous. Another music video where pretty much every frame could be a wallpaper. Which is only helped by how absolutely gorgeous they all look. The one shot of Gio genuinely took my breath away when I first saw it. The beautiful gowns worn during the light sections contrasted so beautifully with the almost militant techwear worn during the dark sections. This era gave us so many good looks, truly top 5 Dreamcatcher styling. And the choreo, the fucking choreo, what the hell, insane, insane, insane. The theatricality of it all, the little intricate details, the chorus twirl they do, all their facial expressions, Gayeon's little smirk before her rap, the growl Gio does before her ending part, it is such a grand performance. The use of props, the way the dancers add so beautifully to the performance, because that's what this is, like they were performing their asses off. You might have noticed I didn't mention Gayeon's pink hair during the entirety of that. That was on purpose because I of course have to talk about the Gayeon fancam. Y'all know which one I'm talking about, it's her favorite fancam too, it's got a crazy amount of views for a reason. She was slaying so hard and looked so good while doing it. The pink hair is truly her color and I am so glad she came back to us. And of course, if I'm gonna mention one half of my favorite rap duo, I gotta mention the other too. Dami, my rap icon, for obvious reasons her fancam went viral too. Yep, that checks out. And well, the audience loves her parts too.
Come on, break the world. 지금까지 지켜온 모든 힘을 다해봤어. 시련을 물리쳐. Come on, save the world. 너의 세상을 위해 깊이 발자국을 남겨. 더 높은 곳을 향해 소리쳐. I can't get you out of my mind. It's getting stronger. I'm feeling for you. I can't get you out of my mind. I try to be patient, don't want to run. Just can't get you out of my mind. 아끼는 맘, 내 맘 알아주길. 앉아서 널 보고 있으면 너의 눈빛에 난 녹아내려.
Dreamcatcher are taking a quick break in the Dystopia series to release another fun collab. You might be watching this thinking, they finally do an anime opener? Well, no. No More is a single release for the second anniversary of their Japanese debut. The song is themed around fighting against slander and stalking on social media, which of course ties right back into the whole Dystopia series. Very smart of Dreamcatcher Company to give the Japanese market another shot right after the hit that was Boca. And as you've heard, the song features some very heavy guitars and is done in a traditional J-rock style we've come to expect from their Japanese releases, but with a little flair. Because that Gabi rap was very unexpected, but so good. The way they delivered their lines made the rap feel very sticky, and the way Suwa sung Losers,
Daddy the Grandmaster.
Handong is back, baby!
이름은 버려 Mr. Rover, Rover, Rover. I'm coming over, over, over. Call me Rover, Rover, Rover. I'm coming over. 이름은 버려 Mr. 멋대로 걸어 내 뜻대로 시선을 넘겨가는 대로 Rover, Rover, Rover. I'm coming over, over, over.
심장이 입 밖으로 튀어나올 것 같거든요.
She finally returned to Dreamcatcher on October 16th and had her first solo, First Light of Dawn, ready to go just a few days later. So we're gonna sit here and enjoy this together for a bit.
的尽头，一束光芒照进我心房，不后悔也不投降，不管多累，不管多忙，摘下的伪装，其实你我都
that was really nice. Everyone couldn't be happier to have her back. Now, you might be thinking, what? They're doing another Japanese comeback? Damn, Nomura must have really popped off. Well, no, this is the anime opener. They finally did one and lived up to their reputation of their music sounding like anime openers and did an anime theme song. Eclipse is a theme song for the King's Raid TV anime, Successors of the Will, and if you think that name sounds familiar, yeah, it's that, King's Raid. They really said deja vu. And it really does sound like an anime opener. Just the build and progression of the song sounds very much like a theme song. I love the piano though, and Handong's deep voice in the part right before Dami's was just so good. Another great song in Dreamcatcher's discography. They just really never miss, do they? Also, they looked really pretty in that half music video, half trailer they released for the show. I'm low-key still so mad we didn't get to see more of those outfits.
Oh, stress. Oh my god, stress. Oh my god.
We see Yuyeon sitting in a masked chair, followed by a shot of a weird red drink, and then we cut back to the girls. They're starting us off with an eye formation, the eye then disassembles, and we get into the actual music video. Our bestie, the Tree of Language, is back, hooked up to some strange glowing lights, and there are wires connecting to its roots as if it's feeding off of it, or maybe rather corrupting it. Either way, it's not really looking too good. And then we get this very interesting shot. Yuyeon's Adai being able to see through the phone. A few moments later, we then see her take a sip of the red drink and it seems to infect her. And in the very next shot, she now has a permanent Adai. We also see Handong choking her reflection. The music then starts building up to the final chorus and all hell breaks loose. The effects are going crazy, there's distortions everywhere, the walls are literally melting as the reality we're seeing is breaking right before our eyes, and then we get a last shot of the tree. It's now fully white with wet leaves. And in the end, the Dreamcatchers couldn't find the utopia they dreamed of. No more utopia. Gorgeous, gorgeous shots. I love the cyberpunk aesthetic, how everything is distorted and has this haze over it. The TV room Shion is in, the hooked up tree shots, the fuzzy stripper room, Dami's part in the bridge, the shot of Gio holding the flaming bouquet. What a video. The editing and effects were insane. This is so overstimulating to watch. The first time around I couldn't even get over all of the effects. I had to really sit and focus to even try and write this part of the script. Okay, theory time. The vibes are very cyberpunky this time around and lyrics are very interesting. I think the concept of Adai is about the portrayed reality shown versus the true reality seen by the Adai. At its core, Adai is about awareness and your perception of the world, how it operates and how it changes after gaining that knowledge. This is symbolically depicted by the condition title literally describes, heterochromia. In mythology, people with the condition are also thought to have magic or ghost eyes that can see both the spirit world and earth. And all the girls are shown to get an Adai at some point in the video. The danger of the illusioned utopia comes from being ignorant of how the world really works, because without the perception and understanding of the world's inevitable good and bad parts, the search for utopia is going to lead to not being able to see it at all. The idea that by becoming Adai you're overcoming a plausible lie, an illusion looking for an unrealistic ideal meant to distract you from what the reality of the world really is a very powerful one, and the solution it seems is to be able to perceive the world through eyes that are opened to its realities. Once you're no longer bound to the mirage of happiness that is fully dependent on a perfect world that just doesn't exist, you're free to go pursue happiness on your own terms, find your inner utopia driven entirely of your own volition. As Gio put it, we wanted to send the message that the real utopia exists in your heart. TLDR, just be who you are. About the song itself though, it's non-stop. I love the build to the chorus, all the synths in the back, the trickling drums, and then you get to the chorus and it's just an explosion of sound. The way the different riffing guitars are layered with the drums and their gorgeous vocals is so fun to listen to. And I like Dami's verse too, which I know some people weren't a fan of the rap style, and I'm usually not either, but I don't mind it on this because I don't think it feels out of place in the song. Vocally it was amazing as usual, it's a Dreamcatcher, what do you expect? I always play this when people who don't know them ask about Dreamcatcher. I think sonically this is just the best thing to get non-somnies into Dreamcatcher. It's not my favorite title or anything, but it's just so easy listening while also being so Dreamcatcher. The spin, I was gonna leave it at that because that spin is truly the Dreamcatcher moment, but the rest of the choreo is really visually pleasing to look at too. I love all the eye-related movements they do. Their choreos always fit so well with the concept, I don't know how the choreographers do it. Speaking of their team, I still wanna have a little chat with the stylists though, because what the fuck was you guys' problem? Like genuinely, what the fuck? They looked so fucking fine this era, oh my god. The idea of them having actually odd-colored eye was very smart and again fits into the concept so well. For real, shout out to their team because I always have such creative ideas. Speaking of creativity, Sua's face makeup? I don't know what's written on her face, but it looks so cool. The makeup in general was stunning. I love all the eye-themed gems and whatnot, it was really pretty. And I have to end this with saying I have the biggest crush on Blonde Xion.
너는 나의 모든 시공간 저 달빛을 닮은 너를 찾을 테니까 흐린 별이 보는 바람가 매일 밤 꿈꿔온 너에게 놓치지 않아 찰나의 그 순간 널 꼭 알아볼 수 있어 널 오늘도 찾아가 가을이 오면 모두 얼어붙은 내 손잡던 겨울까지 모두 기억해 모두 기억해 I will give you my 주원이었어 꿈에서 누가 기다려왔어 기다려줄래 나 사라진 시간 그 속에서 멈춘데도 그냥 날아가던 네 목소리 들려 다시 새로운 날이 내게로
So, essentially this entire storyline is the girls going on a quest to abolish the worst of all languages, hate. But what does that mean for the actual fight against online hatred the girls started back in Scream and continued in the rest of the arc? Interpreting things on a surface level, you'd think that Dreamcatcher thought the fight was a hopeless one. None of the lyrics seem to talk about any sort of hopeful outcome, and in the last shot of Odd Eye, which ended the trilogy, Dreamcatcher never found the utopia that they dreamed of, and it seems to end on a bad note. But what these lyrics are really referring to is what Dreamcatcher mistakenly tried to do, trying to find an externally focused outer utopia, and given how they've mentioned this inner utopia a lot, the message seems to be more realistic, that despite discovering how things aren't as easy to fix in the world, through their journey the girls seem to have come to the conclusion that hatred, especially online hatred, is just simply always gonna exist. There's no point in fighting for an ideal that just isn't realistically achievable. Instead, making sure that your own mentality and outlook on life go towards your own inner utopia will make dealing with the inevitable shit of the world, including hatred, a lot easier and give you the strength to stand up against it. Yeah, Dreamcatcher never found the utopia they were looking for, but only because it was the wrong utopia to be looking for in the first place. In the last part of the dystopia story, we see the more grounded ending to Dreamcatcher's battle against evil and online hate take form. The girls return to the tree, armed with the knowledge of the world this time, and perform one last ritual to revert the damage and protect our bested tree. And once they finish, they leave. We see Jiu walking away while finally understanding that, at least on the outside, there is no more utopia. The tree, no longer lush and green, but also no longer burning and dying, is now in this in-between state. It's a deep orange hooked to some glowing cable sustaining it, instead of the water that did so in the ending of Boca. Kinda represents how we can't rely on shit to just work itself out. You have to be the change you want to see in the world. Good god, that was a lot. I hope you got what I was putting down there, because I was definitely putting down a lot. But yeah, Dystopia series. What a great arc. I like that it wasn't just a fairy tale where the heroes banish evil forever and save the world, because I think Dreamcatcher understands that it just isn't that simple. It's an ongoing battle where you gotta learn and grow. The end destination of this entire journey being that instead of relying entirely on the external factors like the tree, you gotta turn your focus inwards towards your own mentality and attitude, driven by your own trials and experiences that'll ultimately only make you stronger for the next time you have to deal with the shit of the world. It's a realistic place to end the saga, and in my opinion it serves as one of K-pop's most ambitious and impactful world-building efforts.
I'm losing my desire to move forward. Thank you.
Listen, I need a break from all this lore talk, so if y'all don't mind, I'm throwing in two. What a fun little show. This was Dreamcatcher's first own reality show. It was a 10-episode series with an average runtime of about 15 minutes, and they had a theme for each episode. The first episode was more of an intro to the show. The girls are just playing games, breaking puzzles, and dressed in the cutest school uniforms I've ever seen. Episode 2 is a parody of Among Us, fittingly titled The Among Us, and I know whoever thought of that felt really clever. And it ended with one of the most intense scenes in a variety show ever.
내가 다른 데로 한번 가볼게. 전 지금 연막 작전을 하고 있습니다.
Following that was the horror special. Now this is a fun watch. I'm always down to watch the spooky episodes, and these ones specifically were so funny. They put the girls in an abandoned hospital and made them find little treasure boxes in all the spooky rooms, and the way they were getting scared over nothing was hilarious. Danga was literally in tears as she ran into Dummy's arms. It might be the most wholesome, heartwarming hug I've ever seen. All that because she heard some spooky music coming from down the hallway. Suwa was being so unserious the entire time and trying to scare the other girls.
야 재밌었어?
And the way Shio and Joohyun didn't give a fuck, pure gold content. After that, we got the retro episodes that can simply be summed up as the one where Handong is no longer holding the pain.
Round 1. Fight! Finish him! Round 2. Fight!
이거 기둥이에요, 기둥.
Round 3. Fight! Flawless victory!
Next up is the PUBG one, very fun again. This whole episode is basically Jiu killing everyone with the biggest, brightest smile on their face.
맞았어, 지희 언니. 뭐야?
We then got the infamous debate one with an odd amount of shit talking.
좀 더 극단적인 예를 들어볼게요. 하루가 있어요. 네. 하루에 내가 똥도 지리고 엄청 행복한 일이 동시에 있었던 거예요. 이 하루 안에. 화장실 갔다.
Then the office episode with Suitcatcher. No interesting comments here, just Dreamcatcher in suits.
Hey ladies, yo, pussy ride like a Mercedes. I need an old big born in the 80s. I need one that ain't got no babies. Hey fellas, yo, bitch always getting jealous. Cause you hanging in the club with your fellas. Bitch start short soon she met us.
And finally, my personal favorite, the mukbang episode. I could have watched them talk, eat, and play drinking games for hours. So fun to just see them hang around and chat. The staff shouting at Suwa to Chuck was also very cute to see. Which brings me to my one and only gripe with the show. The episode should have been way longer. I can kinda see why they made them short so that if it popped up on the recommended page of a random person, they'd be more inclined to watch it, but I still think this would have been served better as long form YouTube content. And where is season 2? The girls obviously want to do it too, so come on DCC. But alright, we gotta get back to actual musical releases now. As per Dreamcatcher tradition at this point, we get a special album in between bigger storylines, and this time it's Summer Holiday. With a title like that, could Dreamcatcher finally be doing a more bright summer concept? Well, never mind, this is Dreamcatcher we're talking about after all. Title track aside, the rest of the album is definitely a summer album, but let's discuss the music video first because per usual there's just so much interesting shit going on. Dreamcatcher is going back to its creepy roots with this one and I am so here for it. We see Gayon in a throne room freeing herself from a cage. We then cut to the girls in a hotel lobby and they're all acting very non-human. We cut back to the choreo and Gayon and Jiu are mirroring each other before Gayon reaches out to choke her. Jiu then flips an hourglass and lets the games begin. We get a whole lot of doppelganger and mirror shots, also a lot of Dutch angles. The girls are at a bunch of creepy but beautiful locations trying to kill their other selves. We see Jiu and Gayon running away from something, and in the end, we see Gayon sitting on a throne with Jiu smiling while sitting beside her. We then get one final shot of Jiu holding the hourglass from the beginning again, except this time is up, and we get a final shot of all the girls smiling creepily while turning to the camera. Alright, what the fuck was that? Dreamcatcher really said creepy with this one. The music video is gorgeous though, the sets were amazing. They filmed the outdoor locations at an abandoned theme park, which is just so fucking sick. But even the indoor sets were so pretty, like the chessboard scenes, oh my god, such a pretty set. The coloring of the music video was also very interesting, but I'll get into that. As you've noticed, doppelgangers are a huge theme in this concept. Jiu and Gayon were used to establish the presence of doppelgangers when mirroring each other at the beginning of the choreo, but we do also see all the girls with their altered versions throughout the music video, which I think means them having two sides to themselves, a side they want to kill, as we see when Gayon goes out to choke Jiu early on in the choreo. But what do the doppelgangers mean exactly and why do they want to kill them? So here's where my theory comes in. I think Gayon is a puppet master and Jiu was temporarily taking over for her because she got trapped. Which is why in the intro for their first performance, Gayon was the only one left untouched, because she's the one really in control. I have a theory for why it's Jiu specifically, but more on that later. So what's the story and how exactly does this all fit? As I said before, there are two sides of them. They visually differentiate the two in the music video by the colors of the scenes. Those who appear with cold tones have controlled emotions, and those who appear with warm tones have uncontrolled emotions. The chessboard in the music video only further implies that the rest of the girls are Gayon and Jiu's pawns, and they're being used to help them get revenge. Willingly, of course. But why? Why are they okay with being used? Because they're all also obsessed with Gayon. I came to this conclusion mainly because of the song and because it's about being obsessive. and more importantly, controlling, which is exactly what Gaon is as a puppet master. At first, the lyrics seem cheeky, and they can come off as almost cute, but then after the first chorus, it goes into Dami's verse, and the sound changes into something more messy and erratic, which fits a switch up in the lyrics perfectly, and the dynamic's only about to get more toxic. Another reason why I think they're all obsessed with Gaon is because they're willing to kill their other selves in order to avenge her, but how do we know they do? I'm gonna go through each of the girls and how they fit into the story one by one, starting with Handong. Handong's case is pretty straightforward. The only time she's seen with her doppelganger is in the shot where they're underground, probably dead. The real version of Handong is the one in white because she ends up in the throne room. Dami is only seen with the mirrored version of herself once in a quick flash, and that is the real her. She probably succeeded in killing her doppelganger because that version of her, the original, ends up in the throne room. Dami and Handong get done with their job first, which is why they end up sitting on the bed in the red room together, waiting for further instructions from their master. Yuyeon's real self is also the one in white because she ends up in the throne room. We don't really see how she takes out her doppelganger, but we did see the pink smoke that engulfed them, and Yuyeon ended up in their place after the smoke cleared. We don't see Xion with her doppelganger except in a one-shot where the park is mirrored, but we can assume that she succeeded at killing them too after the real version of herself ends up in the throne room, the one with the black bob. We actually see the fake version of Suwa in the hotel before we see the real version of her, the one hiding behind the mask. She kills the fake version of her by giving them an apple through the mirror, and if Snow White was anything to go by, that shit was poison. I'm gonna explain Gaon and Jiu together because they're connected obviously, but how though? I'm guessing their mutual obsession with each other. Not only are their real versions connected, but their doppelgangers maybe too, because we see them running away at the same time, probably from the original Gaon and Jiu. And speaking of their connection, we only see them together once, at the end of the music video, where Gaon is the one on the throne and Jiu caresses her face saying, "Because I like you." And if we consider that B is a Hanja character that means sadness, that would make the lyric mean, "The cause of sadness is that I like you." Gaon being gone was the cause of Jiu's sadness, which is why in the end, when they're all in the throne room as their original selves, we get this shot of the two of them, where Gaon initially seems uncomfortable, but when she says her line, it's like her facade breaks and she's smirking. This also tells us that they won. Gaon is officially back in control with Jiu as her right hand, which is why Gaon is the only one standing straight at the end of the choreo. But won at what though? I know this entire time I've been saying killing their doppelgangers, but I put it in quotations for a reason, because what if they didn't actually kill them? What if they put them under a spell, one that turned them into puppets for Gaon to use at her leisure? I think that's what Handong was doing here. This shot specifically helps my point because it looks like they may be locked away somewhere, and they were completely still. So yes, they succeeded. Maybe not at killing their doppelgangers, but at making sure they can no longer cause trouble. Which, if you ask me, doesn't sound like that bad of a fate, because have y'all seen Jiu and Gaon in this music video like...
Look lonely. I can fix that.
This song is so interesting because lyrics aside, you'd think this was just a fun little summer bop. It sounds fun and super upbeat until of course the second part of the chorus hits. I really love the progression of this song and how it slowly turns so sinister. Even in the production, you can slowly hear the descent into madness, and that fucking bridge again. I know I keep talking about all the bridges in their songs, but they for real sound insane every time. The way it's always a perfect slowdown right before everything fucking explodes in the final chorus, and Xian just screaming, and other scream lines at the end just fit so well with what this concept is. A little giggle at the end is just the cherry on top of this insane track. And oh my god, the choreo fits so well with this concept. The way they're all acting like dolls, and when they picked up Yuan, I lost it. Like, that was such a smart idea. They went so hard for the dance break, and the way they rocked back and forth during the bridge, like, ugh. Even in the fucking ending pose, they're doppelgangers mirroring each other on both Gaon's sides. This entire choreo is so satisfying to watch. Their choreographers always come up with the most creative shit. Shout out to their team. And their facial expressions, the way they switch from smiling to spooky so fast is low-key actually scary. Especially Gaon, like she had this concept down. This was so her era. And the styling, such cool fucking styling. The creepy but pretty doll-like outfits eat. Their stylist really pulled this one off so fucking perfectly. I'm in love with all the beautiful white dresses they're wearing in the music video. I love all their stage outfits. They always look so cohesive yet are styled to each member so perfectly. And I of course have to talk about how pretty they look this era. We got Gayeon with red hair, which is truly her best color, she looks so stunning. Jihyo's long black hair with bangs. Dongyi and Yuyeon both being blonde. Thank you so much for making Baby Somni version of me so confused because I can never tell them apart. And I mentioned it before, but the rest of this album actually is a bunch of cute summer songs. For real, no creepy twists here, just a bunch of fun, upbeat tracks, which again just proves that Dreamcatcher can really pull off everything.
So magical blue 이상하게 너와 있으면 이루어질 것만 같아 가자 Oh airplane Love me to the sky 시원한 파도의 소리 눈부신 성격의 노래 라라라라라라 조금만 슬퍼도 괜찮아 한 번 더 올라 가자 넌 사라질 것만 같아 달빛이 사라지면 우린 함께할 수 없다고 생각했어 흔들리는 나의 눈빛과 떨리는 그 손을 안아줘 Would you stay with me with all the soul and my heart? Fall in love 운명처럼 다가온 feeling 꿈꾸는 것 같아 하나만 찬란한 줄기빛으로 날 비춰 내 맘을 놔줘 이렇게 all day long, day long, day long, day long Say you love me 여전히 날 아프게 해 난 이렇게 널 사랑하고 있어 분명 우리의 추억 내겐 여전히 소중해서 너도 날 떠올려 줄 수 있다면 기억하기까지 내 말할 때까지
After the fun creepiness that was because, Dreamcatcher are ready to get back to the overarching storylines tackling social issues, and starting off the new trilogy, the Apocalypse series. Off of Apocalypse Save Us, we get Maison. Okay, so what are we doing this time? Like, what exactly do we need saving from? The music video starts in a very apocalyptic setting. A meteor crashed into the ground and it's Yuhyun. We then see some masked soldiers with guns. Cutting back to the girls, they're looking badass sitting on some ruins, and we see who I can only imagine is Mother Earth chained up and engulfed in red smoke. We then get this shot of Gayeon with the tarot card, and after some zooming in, we can see it's the death tarot card. Dami enters the control room with a bunch of dead soldiers. Everything is destroyed, including the view of the burning world outside. The next shot is Yuyeon standing in some sort of Olympus. Then we see Handong in that same Olympus before she disappears into a portal. The portal then spits her out in the world below. Afterwards, the rest of the girls follow, dressed like they're ready for war. Suwa then bursts into the devil's conference room and kicks his ass. Then we see a statue of Mother Earth transform into the Grim Reaper. The final shot is of the girls in Olympus, leading to Alright, I think we all got the gist of that one. They made it pretty much impossible to misunderstand because it's literally what they say in the chorus. Please someone fight for us. Please someone do something about the decline of our planet before we all lose our home. They made it straightforward on purpose so that there would be no confusion surrounding what message they wanted to broadcast to the world. Maison serves as a warning against a not so distant apocalyptic future that awaits us if we continue to plague the earth with apathetic overconsumption. Dreamcatcher wants to shake passive observers awake from their indifference and move them into action before it's too late. There is very little hope to hang on to. Global warming is just the tip of the iceberg, and that too is melting. All in all, it's important to remember that people aren't perfect, but just as the message of Ada implied, It's time to face those imperfections, and no matter what it takes, it's time for people to fight for the world. Our maison. Turns out what we needed saving from was ourselves. And fuck by Yuhan, because what was going on this era?
It's cuffing season and all the girls be needing. Need a big boy, I want a big boy. Give me a big boy.
Is it okay if I'm a girl? It doesn't matter.
Them LA boys, they wanna fuck, they wanna fuck. Them New York boys, they wanna fuck, they wanna fuck. Them Euro boys.
I also just want to mention this real quick because I think it's super honorable and deserves all of the praise, but Insomnia and Seven Dreamers raised a total of $4,000 to donate to environmental charities to celebrate Maison and its message. Like, what the fuck, I love being a part of this fandom. This choreo is so sick. Them fighting against the dancers was such a cool idea. The whole choreo was so well thought out and shows the lyrics/message perfectly. They transition from their positions so smoothly, and that chorus is iconic. There's so much energy exuding from their dancing, and that shit looks hard as hell to do. The bridge clock ticking segment and the dance break were, aside from the final chorus, my favorite part. They always go so hard, they have all my respect for real. Back to the track though, that guitar is riffing! Very much one vibe, bass carried hard. Very strong guitars, great top hats, low synths, and the bass really well and truly is what drove the track forward, and that thing was riffing non-stop throughout most of the song. The creepy choir vocals chanting Maison in the final pre-chorus is a nice addition. Very well crafted, if not a bit samey at times, and I do have to be honest here and say that if I didn't have my first comeback bias with this one, I probably wouldn't have liked it as much as I did. And before y'all go jump me in the comments, it's still a good track, don't get me wrong, but it's just impossible to absolutely love everything a group puts out. I think it's also just that coming off the back of the insanity that was the Dystopia trilogy, and because this fell a little flat for me personally, which luckily was not a problem because we got a full album to back this track up. Cue the album review.
Just wanna be find you, 너도 알잖아. We'll be together. 저 먼 하늘을 보며 a shooting star, get together. 긴 이 밤 지나가기 전에 잊고 있었던 저 설레. Say that you found me, say that you found me, say that you found me. 언제든 바라봐줘 점점 커지고 있어 너에게 기대고 싶은 마음이 I'm in love 진심을 담은 한마디 For you love you 오늘 하루는 널 위해 난 널 위해 난 살아갈게 모든 순간 그래 널 위해 다 널 위해 주고 싶어 always 그리고 넌 나의 마지막이 될 거야 매일 너의 안에서 네 꿈을 꾸게 해 가득 채운 하루 We are miracle 상상도 노래만 따라와 It's me who's gone crazy Frank with a bad like crazy Knock knock I'm crystal honey Top top let's drink it funny 착각가 빨려 들어가 숨길 수 없어 my destiny 선명해질 불꽃 짧은 숨결 긴 긴팔 속삭임까지도 빛을 잃은 내 세상엔 일이 소란한데 그 언제나 너를 품은 황홀한 물결 눈을 뜬 채 잊혀질까 그러니까 난 말야 널 내게서 보내줄 수가 없잖아 전하지 못한 말 써내려가 한겨울에 멈췄던 우리 얘기 Say the things that I need Wish I could hear it from you Baby, please don't leave me this night. It's long and lonely, so put everything aside. Honey, 안아줘. Baby, don't leave me. Only you can make me feel so alive. Take all of my love. 바로 이 나를 기다려왔어. 내 맘대로 좀만 더 소리 지을래 눈치 보지 말고 뛰어봐 누가 뭐라 한데도 멈추지 않아 하고 싶은 대로 가고 싶은 대로 지금부터 시작해 내가 느낀 대로 고개 나를 위로 나를 위해 불러줘 So beautiful 다시 그려볼래 좀만 playground 회색 공간 내 맘대로 칠해봐 다시 채워볼래 좀만 playground 난 이 순간 다시 어려지는 중이야 I feel so confident 적 새겨놓은 벽 위에 낙서가 하나하나 숨결 담은 내 만화 속의 주인공 다 내 얘기 같아 Just fly high 때로는 날 맡기고 멀리 날아가 Just fly high
So, you might recall that we're in the third act of the video here, and it's titled Flowery for a reason. I said in the intro that I wanted to make this video as a way to applaud Dreamcatcher's journey and give them their flowers. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce a new segment. So remember how I mentioned that first wrapped win with Deja Vu earlier?
Flashback.
Well, it's about time we circle back to that. Dreamcatcher had obviously been nominated in music shows after Deja Vu, but unfortunately never quite managed to snag a win. But that didn't matter anymore, because on April 20th, 2023, 1924 days after debut, this happened.
안녕히 계세요. 아까 가서 그 컨텐츠 하길래
네, 우선 우리 섭녀들 지치지 않고 저희 응원해주셔서 너무 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
감사합니다. 진짜 우리 정말 제일 너무 사랑하는 우리 인썸니아가 있기 때문에 우리가 있다는 거 평생 잊지 않고 우리 열심히 활동할게요.
They did it! Dreamcatcher got their first win. Their reaction to seeing themselves winning will never not break my heart. Like they were just messing around, not even really paying attention. Handong even says there's no way. And then it does happen. Maisel takes the fucking win and the girls head up on stage in shock to give a very heartfelt speech. Gio looking at her members as they walk up on stage and the way they're all just in shambles but trying to hold it together is heart-wrenching. This is even more devastating knowing they kinda stopped hoping to get a win.
컴백할 때 그 목표나 소망 같은 걸 얘기를 하잖아요. 근데 그럴 때마다 저희가 1위 하고 싶다라고 얘기를 했었는데 뭔가 이번 활동에 1위 하고 싶다라는 말이 그 인터뷰를 할 때마다 쉽게 잘 안 나왔거든요. 이게 계속 그럴 때마다 이게 좀 자꾸 상실감이 너무 커지니까 1위 하고 싶다라는 말을 하는 게 너무 힘들었는데 근데 지금 저희가 계속 얘기했던 게 한번 이렇게 이루어졌잖아. 목표가 이루어졌고
Dreamcatcher deserved this more than anyone, and I have never seen the K-pop community rally together to make something happen before, and it was so insane to get to witness live. I was crying right along with them. Dreamcatcher finally getting their long overdue flowers on Show Champ. The staff over at Show Champion didn't even cut their encore like they usually do with wins. They wanted Dreamcatcher to have their moment, which is just the sweetest. I am so happy and so proud of Dreamcatcher, and congratulations on your very well-deserved first win. And they weren't done just yet because they still had little karma to cash in, which they got to do just a few days later on April 26th.
드림캐쳐 축하합니다.
They take home a win on the show. Yes, that show. This was the most satisfying karma I've ever seen, and I am super glad this was a happier win where they could do the live more confidently and everyone got to see their thank yous and got to have a word. No, like literally, they scripted their speeches out.
And thanks to everyone who's supporting us. Now we learned a new lesson that we can do everything if we don't give up. So don't give up, guys. Thank you.
아 맞다.
This was for you, Deja Vu. And we're not quite done with awards and titles just yet because Apocalypse Save Us debuted straight at #1 on the worldwide iTunes album chart, making them the 5th ever girl group in the history of K-pop to do so. The album also broke their highest selling first day and first week sales on Hanteo, a record it still holds today. I wasn't kidding when I said this was the year Dreamcatcher finally started getting their flowers, because they were officially named the face of rock in K-pop, something we all already knew of course, because of their invite to Primavera Sound, one of the biggest rock festivals in the world, where they were the only K-pop act. They had issues with their connecting flight to Spain, and to eliminate the risk of them not being able to perform, Primavera sent a private jet out to get them there on time, which was the first time they had ever personally flown out an artist, and if that is not a flex, I don't know what is. And then at the event itself,
Welcome to your nightmare, Primavera!
that's such a sick line. What the fuck? They should have made merch with that. They totally ate their performance up, and watching the crowd in the crowd shots go from like 100 or so people at the beginning to like 500 at the end was so funny. You have to keep in mind here that this isn't a K-pop related thing at all. Like Primavera is just a rock festival they got invited to, and for them to get the amount of hype and cheering they did from mostly people who had no idea who they were is kinda insane. I mean, they got a whole minute of people chanting Dreamcatcher after performing Scream. And we're still not done, because after a first win, their next goal was to perform in an award show and maybe even win an award. You already know where this is going, because they got to do just that a few weeks later when Dreamcatcher got invited to their first ever award show, the K-Heart Dream Awards, where Maison won Best Music Video.
드림캐쳐 축하합니다.
축하드립니다.
캐쳐에게 응원과 사랑 아끼지 않는 우리 소중한 썸녀들 너무너무 고맙고 사랑해요.
First of all, shout out to Insomnia, the sweetest people on earth, and to our staff. We'll try our best to give you
better us. So please stay tuned. Thank you.
也谢谢我们的 Semnia 给了我们一个这么珍贵的奖，我们会继续加油的，爱你们，谢谢。
감사합니다.
And that marks the end of this section. I have a feeling I'll be back pretty soon though. So, coming off of the back of Please Someone Fight For Us, we could go a whole bunch of directions here, so let's just take a look at the music video. We're on a sick location. The girls are standing in some sort of destroyed environment, and we then see Queen Suwa back in the clouds. Jiu is standing in a destroyed wasteland, and Lady Gaga makes a quick appearance. And then it's time to march forward and reload while they're slaying in this futuristic / militaristic room. We then get some slow-mo shots of the girls walking through a green toxic wasteland before Dami finds her way back into another control room overlooking another disaster, and she has seen about enough because she punches a screen. And she is not the only one. All the girls are getting visibly mad and it's revealed they've got lightning powers. We get a very powerful shot of Guyan with the Dreamcatcher flag, and now they've really pissed them off because all of their lightning powers are unleashing and they go on a rampage. Guyon zaps a whole room of soldiers dead, and Shion is choking a soldier in the sky, and they're basically just massacring all the bad guys. And then, breaking news, we're all gonna die if you keep looting our one and only home. They then launch Powerhouse Shion to release a sound wave so powerful you cannot ignore it. Before we go into our trademark final chorus and get a last shot of the statue of Mother Nature we saw earlier in Maison, but she has wings and is free this time. The video ends with the girls in a V formation giving us their final vision. Vision is very clearly the sequel to Maison, except they've grown tired of asking you to fight for us and are now telling you to. Whatever place they're in has been devastated by the rule of an unknown militaristic force, and we see Dreamcatcher using their lightning powers to overthrow the soldiers, which at the end they all succeed in doing. While the rest of the girls were just completely demolishing the soldiers, Dami managed to infiltrate their headquarters to some sort of communication center where she then broadcasts their call to action so that people will hear and join their vision. The vision of a more hopeful future we see the members singing about in the song. This is their most electrifying song yet. There's a very lurking electronic techno backing throughout the whole track, and you can really feel the amount of power, energy and anger in the song. They make you listen to their vision, both literally and figuratively, because I love the softer fade they did with the final vision of each chorus. This was my favorite title track when it released. This whole thing was so powerful. The delivery, the singing, Dami's rap, Suwa's rap. Yeah, you heard me right, rapper Suwa is back. So much fucking energy in this banger of a track, energy that just explodes after Shion's high note. They've made sure you hear their vision alright. I only wish it was a little longer though, like maybe it's just because of all the energy this exudes, but you start listening to it and then it's just over. First things first, the stompies in the choreo are so satisfying. This whole choreo is just so fun and satisfying to watch. I really like the militaristic concept they went with, and I just love the energy they pull off. It's so smooth and slick but cool at the same time, and that ending is iconic. And they again looked fine as hell this era. Vision Suwa, I will never forget you.
It was candy, but you see, I thought it was, I would've, oh my fucking god!
After Vision, Dreamcatcher set off on the European leg of their 2022 Apocalypse Follow Us tour, and you might be wondering why I'm mentioning this when I haven't mentioned any of the other tours. Well, that's because they had a little announcement to make at the Tilburg concert.
들려드렸잖아요. 새롭게 또 드림캐쳐의 재계약을 또 우리 썸녀들과 함께 더 오랜 시간을 하게 되었는데요. 저희 7명을 이렇게 더 단단하게 만들어준 게 우리 썸냐라는 거 꼭 얘기해주고 싶었어요.
All Dreamcatcher members renewed their contracts ahead of its expiration, and everyone not attending the concert got to find out through an official statement from Dreamcatcher Company that read, "Recently, the Dreamcatcher members all renewed their contracts even before the existing contract expired. All the members of Dreamcatcher agreed to renew their contracts based on their trust in the agency." It really is 7 forever.
썸녀들이 있기에 드림캐쳐가 있습니다.
I have to go on. Reason.
I hope you have tissues ready. Reason is Dreamcatcher's third fan song released to celebrate their 6th anniversary. Their last fan song was for their 2nd anniversary back in 2019, so it's been a while. Let's start with the actual song. I don't know why they made this super sweet song go so hard, but Lizzie No Lounder, you crazy motherfuckers, I appreciate it. The rap intervals by the entire rap line go crazy, like why are some of their best parts on this song? And as a pre-chorus, their vocals were also actually insane, and I know I say this every time, but this time it's for really insane. Like, try singing some of those notes for yourself. They're up stupid high in their register for some of those notes, like they did not have to do all that. They threw everything that makes Dreamcatcher at this song: drums, guitars, a crazy rap line, and an insane vocalist. There really well and truly is no other group like them. But alright, enough stalling, time to talk about the video, and yes, this made me cry.
Who cried? Who cried? Me. I cried.
Happy tears though. Watching this video just makes you realize how far they've come and how much they've accomplished. The video and lyrics depict their journey so well, and having the animated versions of the girls in each of their most iconic eras slowly climb up the stairs was so moving. And the name dropping Insomnia, and seeing how much love they have for their fans just makes your heart feel so full, and it's so genuine. You can really tell how grateful they feel, when in reality it's a two-way street, and we're so grateful for them, how much they do for Insomnias and how much they always give their everything to us and how they always dedicate their everything to us when we don't even do anything. We just enjoy that Dreamcatcher exists, and thanks to their contract renewal, we'll get to enjoy it for many more years to come. And I know this is starting to sound a little parasocially, but
I don't care.
And getting to hear this live for myself in concert with a bunch of other Somnies screaming along made this my favorite Dreamcatcher song. If you ever get the chance to go see them live, please do. There's just no other experience like it.
For lifer.
Alright, I hope you had time to dry up those tears because we have an Apocalypse to get back to. Time to go see how the storyline wraps up with the final installment in the Apocalypse series. Off of Apocalypse from us, we get Bon Voyage.
이제야 너를 느껴 끝이 없는 여정에 꿈의 환희로 널 안고서
They had you in the first half, didn't they? Don't worry, the song is still very much Dreamcatcher, if not with a more light and airy version mixed in. But we aren't talking about the song just yet, so let's get back to the music video. We see the girls in both very industrial and more natural floral settings, and as soon as Guyan arrives in his sterile industrial location, she breathes life and color back into it. Dami then passes through that same scene and the background shifts in an Inception kind of way. Now hold on, what the fuck is that fluffy floating thing? Anyways, we get Yihao Yuhyun before we get a shot of Xion using her lightning powers to save Suwa, and we go into that kick-ass chorus. We then see Jiu in some sort of industrial setting, walking along a lift path towards the light out. The fortune teller Guyan is back and she hands Handong the Six of Swords card. Next up we see Dami painting before that cute little fluffy thing comes out of her painting, the ring style. We see a flower blooming and a bunch of fireworks going off before Suwa runs on and then jumps off an exploding building, chasing a white dove, after which we go into that final banger of a chorus. The last shot is of Guyan standing in front of that crystal from the beginning again, before it shoots lights up the sky through some sort of barrier around them. Again, what a gorgeous video, all the flower shots were so stunning, and I love the oriental set Dongi is in. Dami's painting scene, all of the Jiu water shot, Xion on the stairs, Suwa's anime jump scene, like what? The effects team did such a good job of making it seem natural. And speaking of natural, there are so many nature scenes in this, like every shot that wasn't the cold industrial areas had a hint of nature in it, just gorgeous. Almost as gorgeous as the girls themselves, they look so pretty this era, they keep looking better and better every comeback.
세상의 끝에 네가 보여 그곳에 가는 길저편에 영원히 난 너저 나에게 됨이야.
The styling fit this down so well, and those frazzle jean outfits were just ugh, and they did a great job of using color and contrast to help tell their story. That bass was crazy. I love the contrast of the light, airy, dreamy verses with the chorus, which just smacks you out of nowhere. Those drums and guitars hit like a truck, and I really like the way Dami came in with that laid back chill verse on this.
Call me crazy, 너무 다가오면 멀어지게 돼. 계속 커져가는 맘에 몰래 상처 주게 돼. 나의 이기적인 과거들이 있으니까 그럴 때도 너와 미를 그렸긴 하니까.
The harmonies and melodies were yet again just absolutely stunning. What's new? That bridge into the last chorus goes so fucking hard, just goosebumps start to finish. I don't know how a song this hard also somehow makes you want to cry. Like the title tracks just keep getting better and better. This choreo is again super satisfying to watch. I like all the big movements, and that pre-chorus to chorus transition is sick. They always look so cool, I don't know what to tell you. It's also just insane how stable their vocals are with choreo like this.
어디든 너에게 울려 퍼질 수 있게 넌 몰라
I bet it must have felt a little weird to perform with smiles on their faces though. What didn't feel weird though was Dreamcatcher racking up some more wins with Bon Voyage.
Round one. Fight! Finish him! Fatality.
일단 우리 썸녀들 너무너무 고마워요. 우리 썸녀들 덕분에 받을 수 있었던 거 알죠? 그리고 Insomnia's all around the world scream! You make us sing, you make us go forward, and you make us feel alive. Thank you so much.
哇，그리고 我们终于在我们桑尼亚的面前拿到了1位，然后谢谢大家的支持，是你们让这首歌又赋予了多一层的意义，爱你们，太酷啦！
그런 마지막까지 목도 안
와! 일단 우리 썸녀들 너무 감사합니다. 진짜 생각도 못했는데 이렇게 큰 상 주셔서 너무 감사하고 자, 네, 우리 하나뿐이 없는 인썸니아 진짜 너무 사랑하고 우리를 이렇게 만들어줘서 고맙습니다. 너무 사랑해요.
두 번씩이나. 고마워.
울지마. 이렇게 믿고 계속 기다려주고 계속 서포트해줘서 너무너무 고마워요 진짜. 앞으로 더 잘할게. 더 잘할게. 감사합니다. 고마워요. 감사합니다. 드림캐쳐 멋진 가수 만들어줘서 감사합니다 인선이야. 감사합니다.
At this rate, DCC is going to have to get a bigger shelf.
Yeah, 눈 감아서 막혀 넌 또 맞춰만 밟지 넌 Say, I'm confused now. Heart is racing, paranoid. I can't trust what I feel. Everything's boy culture. 우리나라 대부분의 갇혀있는 사고뿐인 사람들은 타락하지. 정겨워진 나를 깨고 나아가길 바라는 나쁜 놈만이 가득하지. 끝에 네가 서 있어 들어줘 내 목소리 그대는 언제나 나의 데미안 oh 데미안 스스로 꺼져가는 낮과 밤에 남은 진심 사이에 영원히 남아줘 나의 데미안 oh 데미안 Memories chasing me now it's time to break free Unbreak my bullshit I can't let go. I'll cast a spell. Our love's a curse, but I can't get enough. Propose just before we die. Pull you into my kiss. Call me evil. I'll show you more. I get what I want, but I can't get enough. Propose with every touch. I feel the burn. Love's a curse. Oh, 너는 나의 중력 끌어당겨 자석처럼만 물려 시간을 돌려 내게 다시 안겨 잠에 들고 싶어 to you
So, the weird thing about the story in the Apocalypse trilogy is that it hasn't really been all that clear to us what exactly is going on. In the first two parts, it was more so general statements about protecting the environment and choosing between peace or war, and it was mostly symbolic. But it didn't really give us a complete storyline unlike what we saw in the Dystopia trilogy or even the Nightmare series. That was, until now, just like in any trilogy, everything is revealed to us in the final act. The underlying storyline is shown to us at the very end of Bon Voyage, tying up all the loose ends, which is why this theory time is also going to be the overarching wrap-up of the entire Apocalypse series as a whole. To the best of my research abilities, which to be honest is just throwing shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. But first things first, a little recap. In part 1, Maison, meaning home in French, there was a destructive war which then led to the need of a new vision for humanity. It gave us a glimpse of the apocalyptic future that could await us. In part 2, Vision, meaning vision, shit hit the fan and we're in said post-apocalyptic setting on a devastated Earth, but remember the girls had a vision they get to realize in Bon Voyage. Bon Voyage means farewell. Farewell humanity has had to say to a devastated Earth sometime after the apocalypse happened. Humans were able to survive the destruction because of the shield barrier deployed around the Earth by Dami at the end of Vision, when she pressed a button and released Shion's powerful sound wave, and in doing so people were left disconnected from nature, allowing it to heal. That was the vision passed on by the girls, humans saying goodbye to their toxic past in hopes of the Earth healing and getting to reunite again one day with Mother Nature. This is also where the tarot cards come into play. The burning card Gaïon had in Maison was symbolizing a destroyed future, and the Six of Swords card she had in Bon Voyage represents transition and change. It's supposed to be a literal fresh start for humanity. Time passes by and nature is slowly healing, flowers start blooming again and we see seasons return. The horizon is clear from the destroyed city skyline we were used to seeing in Maison and Vision. The terrible wounds inflicted to Earth have healed and Mother Earth reigns again. And in the very last shot we see Gaïon open up the shield barrier to reveal a green Earth, ready for humans to return home, to their Maison. And with that, we've officially wrapped up the Apocalypse series. Okay, now we've officially wrapped up this trilogy. Alright, this was definitely an interesting one. As usual, I appreciate Dreamcatcher's social commentary on the not so fun parts of the world, but still being able to wrap it up as a message to inspire change and give hope for a better future for all of us. I mean, who else would have your head banging about recycling? We finished off another trilogy, so we all know what that means. It's special album time. Except it's not gonna be a one-off, but a parallel two-part story. This is a new direction for Dreamcatcher in terms of sound, music video, and pretty much everything else. Dreamcatcher is back, but what the hell is going on? We see someone slacking off on their 9-to-5 graphic design job looking into Dreamcatcher. We then get shots of Shion and Suwa looking fine as hell on some big budget vehicles, and also the rest of the girls in various photoshoots looking expensive. But then we get a notification. It's a message from someone named Waimenkra asking if we believe in the power of the crown, and saying to follow the mark of the crown if we see it. That's weird. Then we get some fourth wall breaking when they show the actual set and crew, before we cut to the chorus, and oh my god, they look cool. They're dancing in some sort of round building. We get some strange intermittent shots of the girls fighting though. Handong then pushes the shit out of Yuyan before the camera cuts for another fourth wall break, and Handong helps her up, and they get some quick makeup retouches. The slit hits and we go into Dami's verse, starting us off with "fuck out of my way." We're still getting editing effects all throughout the music video, and then we get this very interesting shot. It looks like the setup of someone who's obsessed with Dreamcatcher. Their pictures are plastered all over the walls and desk, and it now becomes obvious that this is the computer we're on, because they're getting the same messages from Waimenkra, "Do you believe in the crown?" Cutting back to the music video, we see Yuhyun taking some selfies before we zoom back out to the PC screen, and we see that we're on dreamchat.com, and we get to see who the owner of this PC is, Sasha. She's getting spammed by that weirdo before she finally asks, "Who are you?" To which Waimenkra responds, "Follow the mark of the crown if you believe it." It's getting weird, y'all. We then get back to our girls behind the scenes in the makeup/fitting rooms of the set, and as Kayan and Su are heading back to set, we see a crown glitch into existence. The crown then keeps floating above the girls as they're dancing the final chorus. We then see Sasha following a truck with the mark of the crown on it. She's still on chat with Y, and they're going on and on about the crown, saying they had everything when they put it on, and they just keep yapping on about the crown, saying how it will only be perfect when the white carpet turns red. Sasha's reply is too blurry to be sure, but I think she asks, "Who are you again?" To which Y replies, "It's not up to them, and only the crown can determine fate," and asks Sasha if she would like to join us. The place the girls are dancing in then seems to be glitching out. We keep cutting back to Sasha as she is getting closer and closer to the truck. The glitches over at the girls are getting worse, and Sasha manages to follow the truck into a secured area. Okay, what was that? Anyways, we see some more glitches, and then Gio walks over to us, the viewers, and shuts down the camera. We see the camera person's hand fall down to the ground as we get one last glimpse of the set, now empty, and the effects also shut down. We're then back at the office from the beginning again, when everything there is also suddenly empty and shut down, before a final message pops up saying they need to hurry because they're running out of time. Would you like to join the journey? This is their best song, hands down. You can fight me in the comments, I don't care. This is an evolution of their sound into something more... This is so fucking Dreamcatcher, but also sounds so fresh and new. The riff in the verses just hit different, and the melodic chorus and the way it just kinda lifted, but it's still gritty. The ad-libs during the bridge. I feel like everyone was kind of like, oh shit, what the fuck, when this dropped, just because there's no way anyone expected this. Like, even vocally, they're trying styles they haven't before. Just crazy, and that's not even considering the lyrics, which were very interesting, but more on that later. I'm not a dancer like whatsoever, so I feel like I haven't said anything interesting or useful about their choreo so far, and if you thought that was about to change, I am so sorry to disappoint. But again, this was fun and satisfying to watch, and I love how in your face and almost aggressive the choreo is. Like, they make you watch them, and they make it look so easy. Shout out to their ending pose, because the way they slid into position was so sick. And they look extra fine. Oh my god, I swear they keep getting hotter with every comeback. Like, are you kidding me? There's just no fucking way they're allowed to look like this. Literally, what the fuck is their problem? The amount of years this comeback has taken off of my life, I don't even want to think about it. And then Dami has the audacity to have blue hair again. But no, for real, they all look so pretty. I don't know how you expect me to focus on whatever is going on in the music video when they look like that. Not to get them out the side, I think I've stalled having to talk about the lore of this comeback for long enough, so let's just get into it. Full transparency, I was just gonna skip this one because when I started this script, OOTD had literally just dropped, so I was like, yes, no one knows what's going on yet, so I don't have to either. Unfortunately, it's been quite a while, and after researching the lore events of this comeback and trying really hard to comprehend all the shit that went down, I'm honestly still a little blurry on what exactly is going on, so count this as your official warning for a shittier final theory time.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
Alright, I guess I gotta figure this one out on my own. Before we even talk about the music video, Dreamcatcher really just wanted to live up to their reputation of being concept queens and went the extra mile to drop a whole ass ARG weeks before the comeback. And if you don't know what an ARG is, it stands for Alternate Reality Game and is basically just a type of puzzle of a fictional world brought into the real world, and generally is supposed to have a fan community in the real world interact with elements of the fictional world to solve some sort of mystery. So what happened? Well, prior to OOTD's release, a bunch of strange things started happening in real life. People started going missing under strange circumstances after developing an obsession towards a certain item. They started suffering from paranoia and were overall behaving erratically and reported having memory loss and feeling a strange lingering presence outside of their door after receiving a letter. And the more the news spread, the more people reported having received the same letter. A letter you, the viewer, also received if you bought the Villain S album. The letter was written by an anonymous person that addresses themselves as one of the lucky ones. In it, they said that everyone wants wealth, power, and eternal life, and it so happens that they are on their way to enjoy all these things. How, you may ask? Well, by following the mark of the crown, of course. This is where user Ymenkra, arch enemy backwards, joined the plot. They had a Twitter account documenting their descent into madness and infatuation with the crown. They also received the letter, and that's how they became obsessed. So obsessed, they also created a YouTube account with one single unlisted video on it, a video titled C. What does that mean? That's a great question. A bunch of other stuff happened too. K-Somnies received a USB with a strange recording on it at a fan cafe.
자, 이제 다들 모여봐. 주의 사항대로면 이제 한 명만 더 필요한 거 맞지?
맞아. 아까 인터뷰하면서 걔 원고 썼고 마지막 100번째만 찾으면 돼.
이번엔 좀 빨리 끝내버리자. 99번째는 전화로도 안 되고 욕망이 깊은 곳에 숨겨져 있어서 너무 오래 걸렸어.
그래. 솔직히 트러블은 거의 성공이었는데 빵! 한 사람 누구야? 진짜.
됐어. 이미 끝난 일인데 뭐. 근데 마지막 질문은 어떻게 정할 건데?
우리 팔로워 중에서 골라야지. 이 사람 OOTD 좀 허세 있어 보이고 괜찮은 것 같은데 아이디가 샤샤?
The recording detailed the death of Ymenkra. And how the girls plan to lure in their final 100th victim, Sasha. Fans also received a weird suitcase outside before a Dreamcatcher stage that contained a police report and a Polaroid of Dreamcatcher wearing the sacrifice OOTDs. Like, they're slaying, but this is getting scary, y'all. Alright, that's the ARG section of the lore very roughly laid out. TLDR, creepy shit is going on and people are disappearing after receiving a letter by the lucky ones, Dreamcatcher, and becoming infatuated with the crown that promises wealth and greatness. Ymenkra decided to document their journey to find the crown before meeting their fatal end after putting it on. We find out that Dreamcatcher is luring these people in, and their next and final target is someone named Sasha. So, this is a very surface level song. Alright, hold on, before we go run into the comments, I mean surface level as in that's what it wants you to think. I think I speak for everyone when I say that the lyrics didn't feel very Dreamcatcher, yet they were very Dreamcatcher. Previous comebacks all had an underlying storyline, so I guess I wanted to keep running with that theme. So, to the actual music video. Dreamcatcher plays a double role of themselves and the villains in the story. It's a meta-narrative that blurs the lines between reality and fiction unlike anything they've done before. In the video, we follow a girl named Sasha, who is a video editor working on the very music video she's actually starring in. And the more she edits the music video, the more she alters their reality, and the more their villain alter ego interferes with her. Dreamcatcher, aka the Lucky Ones, lure people in with being hot, cool, rich, and promises of a crown with power, but it's all fake. They lie to their victims, and as soon as they place the crown on Sasha's head, she dies. She fell into the Venus trap. But why? What's in it for them, and why Sasha specifically? We don't know yet, but I guess we'll find out when part 2 titled TTYLXOX or some shit drops. But this is still Dreamcatcher, so besides the cool dystopian sci-fi story here, there is an underlying message. The lyrics obviously come off as very narcissistic, look at me, popping champagne in my rollie, but they're so cocky that it comes off as a parody. I saw some people take that as a commentary on social media and how everything is fake and manipulated. We see Ju in a display box like a product, the girls faking a fight for the camera, and they were constantly on their phones. But remember that this is a parallel story, so with that in mind, I think the core theme of this series is to encourage people to be unapologetically confident without being afraid of being labeled a villain. Be your hot, confident self and don't give a fuck about what other people think. And if anything, it's Dreamcatcher. Let's be real, if I looked anywhere near as fine as they did, I'd be insufferable and never shut up about it. And that wraps up Villain S. Good god, am I glad I don't have to figure out any more lore. Dreamcatcher, I love y'all, but that gave me a headache to try and figure out. I have absolutely no clue where Villain S Part 2 is gonna take us, but I'm super excited to see what the hell was actually going on, and if I guessed any of that right. All that's left now is to take a look at what is, in my opinion, Dreamcatcher's best album. Cue the final album review.
속에 젖어버린 머리처럼 내 지금이 벅차오르는 감정으로 Jumping on the ground Sunny shining 피지 않는 의지부터 밝게 비춰줘 너란 높은 곳에 두 팔 번쩍 올려 모두 힘껏 소리쳐 Rising 살들아 나를 삼키려 하늘에 오를래 Bang on me shatter Bang on me shatter Turning to the sky Bang on me shatter Bang on me shatter Turning to the sky Bang it on me shatter Bang it on me shatter 십자만을 나를 떠나요 그런 순간 I know 곁에 있다는 걸 알아줘요 I know you're
I told you I'd be back pretty soon. 2023 was another very big year for Dreamcatcher, not as big as 2022 because that year was kind of insane, but still very impressive. I kinda cooped together all of their achievements to not interrupt the flow of the video and just to make my life easier. Anyways, the first event was on May 17th when the girls were invited to the 2023 Hanteo Music Awards. They walked the red carpet and they looked so cool in the White Vision costumes.
오늘 혹시 의상 컨셉 여쭤봐도 될까요?
네, 오늘 의상 컨셉은요. 정말 하얀 여신들을 이렇게 보여.
여신 포즈. 다 같이 여신 포즈 한번 갈까요?
잘한다.
네. 시현 씨를.
At the award show itself, the girls have won Best Global Artist in North America,
그리고 우리 소중한 썸녀들. 썸녀들 덕분에 이 상을 받았다고 생각합니다. 항상 저희 드림캐쳐 무대에서 열심히 해서 여러분들께 큰 힘이 되어주는 가수가 되도록 하겠습니다. 썸녀들 정말 감사합니다.
Thanks for this precious award. It means a lot to us. We'll continue to work hard to influence you with our music. Thank you so much.
非常的珍贵，也谢谢Sonia一直对我们的支持。我们接下来也会带着更好的专辑回归的，谢谢，爱你们。
Skipping ahead quite a bit, we're now actually in award season, but before we get into that, Dreamcatcher hit a very special milestone on November 29th. Dreamcatcher officially joins the Million Seller Club. I guess OOTD kinda manifested this for them because Villain S was the album to push them over the edge, setting a new career high. Reaching such a milestone while staying true to your own sound and identity is a very difficult achievement, so congrats to Dreamcatcher, I hope they're proud. Alright, now to the actual awards. Dreamcatcher was invited to another very big award show, and oh my god, they looked so fucking fine. They look insane, their outfits are so elegant yet cool, their stylists just do it every time. Dreamcatcher was the only third gen girl group to perform that night, and they had everyone gagged. Hearing how live they are shocks me every time, you can barely even hear the backtrack. And they looked so cool, the stage was sick. Someone needs to stop Dreamcatcher because they keep getting more powerful and I'm terrified of where this is gonna end. They eat up the rest of the performance and it's time to get to the main reason we're here, the award.
The winner of AAA Best Choices, 드림캐쳐 축하드립니다.
네, 이렇게 멋진 상 주신 AA 관계자분들 너무너무 감사드리고요. 그리고 마지막으로 우리 썸녀들에게 말하고 싶은데요. 저희 드림캐쳐를 위해 쓴 시간과 노력이 헛되지 않도록 저희 드림캐쳐가 항상 멋있는 무대 보여드리도록 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
For most thanks to everyone who's supporting us and we'll do our best. Thank you so much. 지금까지
드림캐쳐였습니다.
What another wonderful year for Dreamcatcher. And I couldn't send you off without seeing this. Alright, 2024. The year honestly just started and I think we were all very busy drying our tears watching 7th anniversary videos. But the girls got the start of their 7th anniversary with a fan concert on January 13th in Seoul.
너 언제까지 잘 거야?
Break up, break up.
And that's it for the current events of 2024 as I finally start wrapping up this video. The girls are finishing up their tour, after which I suspect there's a comeback looming. I'm sure the staff over at DCC are already scratching their heads trying to come up with the rest of the storyline, and good luck to all those Somni detectives who are going to figure it out. I know this video is already way too long, but as a quick bonus, here's my tier ranking of all Dreamcatcher songs. After going through all of them pretty extensively for this video, my ranking definitely changed a bit, and let me know yours because I'm very curious where some of these land for you, because I know some of my favorites are definitely not the majority choice. Alright, I'm gonna shut up and we can move on to the ending now. And here we are today. Dreamcatcher is on the last leg of their Luck Inside 7 Doors tour, and I was hoping to get this video done in time for the anniversary, you know, bringing my own contribution to celebrating 7 years of Dreamcatcher, but honestly I don't know who I was kidding with that. I said at the beginning that I wasn't exactly sure what this was gonna end up being, and after finishing this video I'm honestly still not quite sure. It's a history of the group, kinda. I went over some of their big events, kinda. I tried explaining the lore of the different eras, I even told you some of my own theories on them, but I think this whole thing just ended up being a huge love letter to the group. And all I really have to say at the end of this is congrats to Dreamcatcher. Congrats on having been an amazing group for the past 7 years. Congrats on growing so much as a team. Congrats on being the fucking face of rock and K-pop. And thank you for being a light in my, and I'm sure you guys' life too. I am so proud of what this group has already accomplished, and they honestly have my heart. They truly deserve the world, and I wish them nothing but the best. Thank you, Dreamcatcher, for being Dreamcatcher and releasing such cool fucking music. And at the end of all this, I'm sure there's one thing we all can agree on. We fucking love Dreamcatcher.
Love and peace.